There's an organization, Christian-based Principles, that works with young people, young adults who have had a very difficult time in life. They might have been in the foster care system. They might have been addicted. And now they have turned 18, so now they're basically adults. But they have nowhere to turn, nowhere to go. How are we going to live our lives? How are we going to build our lives? So Dee Dee and her colleagues do the work of Jesus in working with these young people. It was through the work with Inspire that Dee Dee met a young man whom I will call Jim. Jim had a difficult time because from a very young age he encountered the foster system as young as 2 years of age. You can imagine the difficulty and the trauma and the pain that resonated and reverberated through his life. Led to drug involvement, led to homelessness. In fact, back in August of 2011, Jim was living under a bridge over by Sylvan Park in Redlands. But he came into contact with Inspire. And there, through the dedicated workers of Inspire, through the volunteers of Inspire, his life began to change. Through the mercy and the grace of Jesus, with human flesh, his life was transformed. Things are very different for Jim now. In fact, Inspire does regular and intermittent drug testing. He's been drug-free for a year. He began to attend a worship service at a church, worship service called Real. Had his life touched and further changed and deepened. It was a number of weeks ago now. It was a week when Pastor Roy was preaching all three of the services. He was here for the first service and heard the sermon. It was a sermon on change, how the Spirit of Jesus moves into our hearts, into our lives, and works his changing, transformative artwork in our lives. Edie was deeply moved by the sermon, and so she got on her cell phone and she texted Jim. She said, "You got to come. Something you got to come. You got to hear a great sermon by Pastor Roy on how the Spirit works to change our hearts and to change our lives." Well, they texted back and forth. She said, "I'll pay your gas. Bring a couple of the other guys. Come down. Come to the service. Come to third service." So they came. They got here for Relive. They loved the praise band, the music, the sermon. But at the end of Relive, one of the other guys had to go to work. And so Jim gave him a ride. And it was on that ride, on the way, that it happened. Jim got pulled over by the police. The reason was simple enough: a defective or broken tail light. But you know how it is. Got pulled over, began to look over their records, ID, who you are. Had them all pulled out of the car, all three of them sitting on the curb. And the officer came back and said, "I see there are 2 felonies for drug sales. If I start searching your car, am I going to find drugs? Am I going to find drug paraphernalia?" "Oh no, you're not going to find it." He began to nose around, and Jim says, "I began to think, I felt so frightened." He said, "Because all of my life, every time I have encountered the police, it has ended up either with me being taken to a new home or me being taken away in handcuffs." So I sat there looking at that. Felt frightened. And finally had the courage to stand up and to talk to the officer. And to say to him, "Officer, I have to tell you that things are different now. I'm in a place called Inspire. And the principles there, they're working in my life. The people there, they're helping me. God is helping me. In fact, we're just coming from church. I've been texting with my mentor, telling me to come. There's a great sermon on change." And he said, "In fact, here's my cell phone. Call my mentor. Dee Dee Schulter is her name. Call her. Talk to her." The officer took the phone, and instead of making the phone call, he began to look at the phone. Scroll through the text messages, the most recent thread, and discovered there that thread between Dee Dee and Jim. "Gotta come to church. Sermons on change. Jesus is working." And his responses. The officer looked at that and said, "Well, I'll tell you. We're planning to give you a $1,500 ticket because you don't have insurance." He said, "I know, I just got the car. I'm planning to get it on Monday." That's a $1,500 ticket. Also been planning to give you a fix-it ticket for that tail light. "Oh, but officer, The officer looked at the phone again and said, I'll tell you what. I'll hold off on the tickets. You get your insurance. You get your life fixed. Light fixed. And then he handed him back his phone and said, and you get deferred service. Now, Jude did not speak it in these words, but you understand the essence of what he was saying. He was saying, I know now about that Savior title. He will save anyone in the grip of sin. I know something about that Messiah title. He's anointed of God to move into our world and our lives, to give us a picture of a different kind of God, to build a bridge between divinity and humanity. But he said,